You and I, we do it dozens, maybe hundreds of times a day. We load a web page, we search for something, and it feels instant, right? Almost like magic. But what is really going on behind the screen? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on the incredible journey of a single click. I mean, seriously, have you ever stopped to think about it? You type something in, you hit that key, and boom. In less than a second, a whole world of information just appears. How on earth does your computer manage to do that? Here's the best way to think about it. It's not a one-way street. It's actually a super fast conversation between your web browser, like Chrome or Safari, and another computer somewhere out there called a server. Your browser asks for stuff, and the server answers. But for any good conversation to work, both sides need to be speaking the same language. And that brings us to the ground rules. This isn't just random yelling back and forth. This conversation follows a very strict set of rules, a protocol, that makes sure your browser and the server understand each other perfectly. That special language is called HTTP. It stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and it's basically the foundation of everything you do online. It's the language your browser uses to say, hey, can you please give me that main image, or please send over the text for this article? Now here is a really important, kind of weird thing about HTTP. It's stateless, which means every single time your browser asks for something, the server has no memory of who you are or what you asked for before. It's like having a conversation with someone with zero short-term memory. They forget you the second you stop talking. As you can imagine, that creates some problems. So, if it's a conversation, what are they actually saying to each other? Let's take a look at the actual commands and replies that are flying back and forth to build the websites we see every single day. Your browser does the asking, using these things called HTTP methods. The most common one by far is GET. That's your browser saying, get me this web page. Simple as that. Now, when you fill out a login form or submit a comment, it uses a POST request, which sends your information to the server. And the server talks back with these 3-digit status codes. A 200 OK is the best news you can get. It means, yep, got it, here's what you wanted. But we've all seen the famous 404 not found, right? That's just the server's polite way of saying, sorry, I looked, but I can't find that file anywhere. So wait a minute. If the server is so forgetful, how does a site like Amazon remember what's in your shopping cart? How does it keep you logged in? How does it solve this massive amnesia problem? The answer is a pretty clever little invention called a cookie. A cookie is just a tiny little text file. The server hands it to your browser, kind of like a name tag. Your browser holds on to it. Then, the next time you visit that site, your browser shows the server its name tag, and the server goes, oh, hey, I remember you. And they are absolutely essential to the modern web. Cookies are the web's memory. They're the reason you don't have to log into your email every single time you click a link, while your shopping cart doesn't empty itself. And yeah, they're also why ads for those shoes you looked at last week seem to be following you everywhere. But not all cookies are the same. You have session cookies, which are basically temporary. They live in your computer's memory and just, poof, disappear when you close your browser. Then you have persistent cookies. These guys get stored on your actual hard drive and can stick around for days, months, or even years. And this is a really critical distinction. Who is setting the cookie? A first-party cookie comes directly from the website you're visiting. It's usually there to help you out. But a third-party cookie? That's set by a totally different website, often an ad company, and its job is to track what you do across many different sites. Okay, so that explains how your browser talks to a website you already know the address for. But what happens when you don't? How do you find anything in this massive, chaotic jungle of billions of web pages? Well, that's where search engines come in to tame the chaos. A search engine is like this incredible 4-part machine. First, you have web crawlers, sometimes called spiders, that are constantly exploring the web, 24/7 gathering info. Then, an indexer takes all that info and organizes it, like a giant index in the back of a library book. All of that gets stored in a mind-bogglingly huge database. And finally, when you type in a search, the query processor is the thing that dives into that database to find your answers in a fraction of a second. And the scale of this whole operation is, well, it's almost impossible to really wrap your head around. When we say that query processor is busy, what does that actually look like? Let's just take Google, for example. Their query processor handles more than 158,000 searches, not per day, not per minute, per second. It's just a constant, relentless flood of human curiosity being answered instantly. So that powerful processor finds millions, sometimes even billions of possible results for your search. But it only shows you about 10 on that first page. How in the world does it decide the order? What makes one result number 1 and another number 10 million? It all comes down to a ranking algorithm, a top-secret, constantly changing formula. It considers hundreds of things. It looks at link popularity, like how many other important sites link to this page. It looks at keywords and something called SEO, which is how well a page is built for search engines. And of course, right at the top, you've got your sponsored links. Those are just companies paying to be there. So when you put it all together, the websites you visit, the cookies they leave behind, the things you search for, you start to create a trail of data. This is your digital footprint. And it's super important to know where that trail is actually stored. Your browser history, the list of sites you've been to, that's stored locally, on your computer. You can delete it. But your search history, every single thing you've typed into that search bar, is stored on the search engine's computers. Those are two very different records in two very different places. Now, with all this information just a click away, we have to be smart about how we use it. The quote here says it all right. Presenting someone else's work as your own is plagiarism. It's so easy to find knowledge, so when you use it, just remember to give credit where credit is due. So there you have it. That's the secret conversation happening behind the scenes every single time you go online. From a simple GET request to the cookies that remember who you are to the massive search engines that find what you're looking for. It's an incredible system we all take for granted. So the last question is, now that you know how it all works, is it going to change the way you browse?